Morocco just qualified for the round of 16, but more importantly, they just proved something that Brazil couldn't prove. That what happened in Qatar wasn't a miracle. It's a mentality. Welcome back. 4 points from 2 games. Brazil held. Scotland beaten. But today we're not just celebrating the result, we're going deeper. Because Morocco's performance against Scotland raised 5 things that every serious football analyst needs to address. Things that will define how far this team goes in this tournament. Let's break them all down. Here's the test that separates good teams from great ones. Can you dominate Brazil and then show up with the same intensity against Scotland 4 days later? Most teams can't. They save everything for the big game and sleepwalk through the rest. Morocco didn't. Against Brazil, they were tactically brilliant, compact, aggressive, controlled. Against Scotland, they came out with the same mentality, the same press, the same identity, and imposed their rhythm from the very first minute. That early goal didn't just change the scoreline. It changed the entire dynamic of the match. Scotland had come with a plan. Sit deep, stay organized, nick a point. Morocco destroyed that plan within 15 minutes. And that's what great teams do. They don't adapt to their opponent. They make their opponent adapt to them. This Morocco squad has a personality, a character, and that character doesn't change based on who's wearing the other jersey. That is the single most important thing I took from this match. Before the Scotland game, I said something that surprised some people. I said, I hope Ayoub Bouaddi is not the best player on the pitch today. Let me explain why. Because this is actually a compliment to both the player and the team. Bouaddi against Brazil was extraordinary, generational, the kind of performance that breaks the internet. But here's the danger. When an 18-year-old becomes the pillar that an entire team leans on, one bad game becomes a crisis. Against Scotland, Bouaddi was good, solid, present, but he wasn't the standout. Mazraoui was better. El Ainaoui was better. Hakimi had moments of brilliance. And Morocco still won comfortably. Do you understand what that means? It means Morocco doesn't need Bouaddi at 100% to win. It means the system is bigger than any individual. It means when the knockout rounds come, when the pressure is at its absolute peak, Bouaddi can have a quiet game and Morocco can still advance. That is the architecture of a championship team. The big moments will come for Bouaddi. The quarterfinals, the semis, that's when you want him to explode. Not against Scotland in the group stage. Save the fireworks for when they matter most. I need to say this directly to Michael Carrick and everyone at Manchester United watching this tournament. What exactly is going on? Noussair Mazraoui has now played 2 World Cup games for Morocco, against Brazil and against Scotland. And in both matches, he has been outstanding. Disciplined defensively, dynamic going forward, intelligent in his positioning, a complete fullback. And yet at Manchester United, he barely plays. When he does play, he's used as a center back. He can't get consistent minutes, even at right back, a position he owns completely for his national team. The tactical reason at club level is actually clear. Hakimi pushes high on the right for Morocco, which means Mazraoui covers more defensively and shields that flank. It's a specific role that suits his intelligence and his reading of the game. But at United, he's an afterthought. Every Morocco fan watching this tournament is asking the same question. How is this player sitting on a bench in Manchester? Mazraoui deserves better. And these 2 performances prove it beyond any argument. Now let me talk about the most frustrating player in this Morocco squad. And I say that with enormous respect. Brahim Díaz is electric, fast, sharp, intelligent, combative. Even when he loses the ball, he fights to win it back immediately. That pressing mentality is exactly what Bouaddi wants. He scored against Brazil. He scored against Scotland. He is Morocco's most direct attacking threat in this tournament. But there is a flaw in Brahim Díaz that keeps showing up at crucial moments, and it cost Morocco at least one more goal today. Selfishness. Not the ugly kind. Not laziness. The kind that comes from a player who is so confident in his own ability that in the moment of decision, pass or shoot, square it or go alone, he goes alone, every time. In a team that functions as a collective, where the system is built on movement and connection. One player going rogue in the final third breaks the entire rhythm. That Brahim Díaz moment today, where the pass was obvious, where the goal was guaranteed, and he chose to go alone and wasted it. That cannot happen in the knockout rounds, because in the knockout rounds, you don't get 5 chances. You get 2, maybe 1. Brahim Díaz needs to understand the team is the superpower, not the individual. Here is the most underrated fact about Morocco's World Cup campaign so far. In 2 matches, against Brazil and against Scotland, Bono has barely been tested. Think about that. Against Brazil, against Scotland, and your goalkeeper is essentially a spectator. That is not luck. That is system. That is a defensive organization so structured, so disciplined, so collectively intelligent that the opposition barely creates clear chances. El Ainaoui was extraordinary against Scotland, tasked specifically with marking McTominay, Scotland's most dangerous player, and he did it with authority. Romain Saiss and Shadi Riyad were composed and commanding. The back line didn't panic once. When your goalkeeper is having quiet games against Brazil and Scotland at a World Cup, you don't complain. You recognize that your team has built something genuinely special at the back. And Bono will have his moments. The knockout rounds will test him. But right now, the shield in front of him is doing its job perfectly. I won't pretend everything is perfect, because there is one thing that genuinely worries me about Morocco going into the knockout stage. Missed chances. Against Brazil, they deserved to win. They created the better opportunities and couldn't convert. Against Scotland, they dominated for long stretches. But there were moments in the second half where Scotland could have equalized, not because Morocco defended badly, but because Morocco stopped pressing and started circulating the ball aimlessly in their own half. That rhythm break is understandable. You're protecting a lead, you're managing energy. But the lack of clinical finishing means Morocco is always vulnerable to conceding 1 goal and then having to chase the game. Against Brazil and Scotland, that didn't cost them. Against Argentina, against France, against England, 1 missed chance in a knockout game can end everything. Bouaddi needs to address this. Not the defending, not the midfield, the finishing. Because everything else about this Morocco team is already elite. 4 points, 2 clean sheets, Brazil held, Scotland beaten, and a team that just showed the world it has character, depth, system, and identity. Morocco are not a surprise anymore. They are a standard. Subscribe for full coverage of Morocco's 2026 World Cup journey. Every match, every tactical breakdown, every transfer update. Drop a comment below. How far do you think Morocco go from here? And which player impressed you most against Scotland?